Good evening. Today, I always say on this show that every guest is special, but I lie this time. My guest today is, let's put it this way. My guest is the reason why I'm here on this planet, why I'm doing this job. My guest is the reason of my being, so to speak. He's a very special person, not just to me, but to countless others. Someone who is a pillar of strength, source of inspiration, a gentleman per excellence, if you can describe him, if I can be that charitable, well exposed. In many ways, how do I say this? I'm trying to be like this my next guest. Trust me, you want to stick around because this is perhaps, I don't know if this has happened before on television. So this might be the first, well, certainly for me and to many people in the studio today as we embark on this special episode of Libation. Welcome back to the show. Please stay tuned so that you get the opportunity to meet this very special guest of mine. So I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. I did promise that today's episode is special, and you'll see why in a minute. My guest is no other person than my father, the Igwe of Nomeh, the Ononoyi himself, the retired Lieutenant Colonel, retired from Nigerian Army. He's a traditional ruler of my hometown, Nomeh, here in Enugu, in Kano East. Like I said, it's pretty unusual to have a father and a son, and Igwe and the subject on a show like this, and this is the first for me, and so I'm a little bit worried. Can I pull this off? Will I make this make sense? Will I make this enjoyable viewing for all of you who are fans of this show? Please stay tuned. It promises to be as exciting. Before we started this, we were talking about the many questions, the types of questions, because Igwe says he feels like this is like it's an inquisition. It's like he's sitting in front of an exam hall. Igwe, please, Igwe Gadi, please be comfortable. This is a rare moment in television history, I think. To sit with, as a host of a show, to sit with one's father, and not just in this instance, but a father who is also a traditional ruler. And because this show, Libation, is a show about culture, it's about tradition, it's about being Igbo, it's about finding our way to our culture, to our roots. So I'm really, really excited. Thank you for believing in me and for giving me this opportunity to have you on the show. No.
Okay, one.
Yeah. It's our tradition. I get Jay Ojin to welcome you to Oji.
Okay, one. Can do one you Oji is an aka. So I can my Oji. Deka akụkọ ndị Igbo si wee gaa ya omenala ka a gabazie n'iru. Yes. Lovely. Oji agbara ịnọ dịka esi ekwu na omenala ndị Igbo na na-agọ ọjị na okwu ọba anyị ka esi agọ ọjị na ọjị ada anụ Igbo English so aga m aga ọfa n'ala Igbo dịka omenala Igbo si wee dị. Amasị biko onye nwe anyị nọ n'eluigwe, anyị na-ekene gị, anyị na-ekenesi ike n'ife ị na-emere anyị ma ndụ anyị arụ isi ike nyere anyị. Ọfa m na-agụ, ana m agụtakwala ndị n'ebe a Afia Radio and Establishment, ma ndị be anyị niile nọ n'ebe ọ bụla ha nọ, na ezinụlọ anyị niile, ma agụta mmadụ niile, ma Enugu steeti, ma gọvanọ anyị, ma ndị ya na-achị ọchịchị ka na-agụta ọfa. Ọ ga-adịla anyị niile mma. A na-asụkwa biko nkata m ga-akpata, m bịara ịkpa nkata tata, biko nye anyị aka na uche na ngọzi a ga-eji kpa nkata ka ọ ga-achịrịrị werere ife ọzọ niile dị anyị mma n'obi. Biko Chineke meela anyị n'aha Jizọs, amen. Then where's that lodging?
Mesian, no lodging. Our show is not complete. I'm gonna attach one body libation.
So.
Anyhow. No. I'm a bit confused. I'm gonna say Papa or Igwe. Okay.
Yes, Igwe.
Igwe. Igwe. A very important question, because this is a question that about, last time I had a guest here, a woman. So when I see, what's the role of each orgy in our tradition? Because a lot of people, a lot of young people need to understand the significance, because and the process. Go to see where me as an MLA or Fuma. Because sometimes I think, and when I see they try watching you, sometimes nobody has seen them by me, but get your own viewpoint around the tradition of Iwoji.
Iwoji bidoro n'aka ndị chọrọ anyị oge gboo. So anyị nwa na-esoro usoro ndị oke ọkpa si ka anyị na-esoro maka ịwa ọjị. Na ọ bụrụ na Nkanụ nwatakịrị na-awa ọjị, pụta ga-ebunyegodo onye oke ọkpa ma onye eze ọjị, wee betu ya aka gọrọ ụfọdụ n'enu ya. Ọ gọsị ụfọdụ n'enu ya, apeze onye bụ nwatakịrị na in that avenue, that environment. A na-ewere na nwatakịrị na-alụ ọrụ dị na ya, ọrụ ịwa ọjị. Ọ wasa ọjị a, ọ chịrị mkpụrụ ọjị, data na-akpa ile ọjị nye eze ma onye oke ọkpa nọ ebe a. Onye oke ọkpa were ile ọjị a wee gọọ ọfọ. Ọ gọsị ọfọ, atabazie ọjị, ekebazie ọjị. Ọjị a na ofu onye buru ya, onye nọ n'ebe ọ nọ, bụrụ n'ebe ọ nọ, onye esete aka were bụrụ ọgụma ga-enye onye ọjị, onye buru ya gata n'ebe ọ nọ, o sete aka were ọjị a n'ime ọkwa dịka ọkwa na ifuru ka nsọ ebunye ya, iwere aka ya were ya, ọ gaa round, ọ patakwa ebe adọwa. Pụta na-emekwe na oke ọkpa, that is by age and seniority. You don't give the cola to a junior person before the senior person. You must use your sense and your intelligence quickly to survey the environment and know who is older and the elders in that environment. So you must serve the elder person, the orgy first, before you give that to the junior ones. That's the custom of Igbo land.
Okay.
Including women. Women are also respected. They are given their fair share in seniority when you are serving the orgy.
Okay. So wine can
wine doesn't break cola.
So the only thing that why I'm a break cola, man, why can't?
Why next a hot dodge? And then one original, they're going to meeting. But on my watch.
Okay. August, yeah.
Yes.
Because I think the next one, let's start with from a point of tradition. This thing in this woman, people think that like every young person, every because my understanding, if you're a young man, no matter they give you as a sign of you've entered into this grade. Man, in this day and age, if you almost everybody just go there. Is there any penalties for that, or any sanction, or is just as we were saying the other time? No, just is it just something that identifies us as Igbo, or any other? Get your perspective on this thing.
We the traditional lads, we frown at everybody wearing the red cap. Okay. Because as I know, a red cap is fastened onto a person, who has been given a title. The king, or whoever is given the title, will fasten the red cap on the head of the person who is being bestowed with a title. That has been the legend and the story behind the Opumeme. The red cap nowadays is being bastardized. We, the traditional lads, frown at it. In fact, it's now taken as if an adult Igbo man should wear a red cap. Well, if it is now generalized that all of us should be, known with the red cap, anytime you see a red cap person, you know he's an Igbo man. Well, that is a subject for discussion among the Igbos from time to time. We're going to review that matter. But really, the red cap should be worn by a red cap person in a normal situation that the person has been titled by the authorizing person.
Okay.
For example, at Onitsha and Oka, you dare not wear the red cap anyhow in Onitsha, because Onitsha person will ask you more. And if you cannot defend yourself, the youths will be mobilized to
take the hat
off your head. So eventually it's a subject that Igbos will have to review and discuss and know how to find solution to it.
Because I think it also takes me to one point. There's one very irreverent Igbo cultural exponent, Mazi Dibia, who is believes in Igbo cosmology and teaching. I mean, by his name, Mazi Dibia, very popular on social media. In fact, we hosted him here, I think 2 years ago. He said something somewhere that even the red cap, no something so Igbo, something that came from the colonial people to distinguish different warrant chiefs and so on and so forth. But if I know you before, like a abuba, animal like a leopard, ago, and so on and so forth. No, that is what what Igbo, our ancestors used to wear to signify a titled person. But that the idea, I don't know whether you share that view.
We are talking about a situation of, say, 50 years, and now what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
I don't know about 200 years ago. We're talking of the last 100 years, 50 years till now.
To us.
Yeah, whether the custom now we have adopted, whether it is normal or should be discouraged or adopted.
Okay.
So as far as we're concerned, we now, administering the Igbo land, frown at everybody wearing red cap. Even at the boy of about 15 years who wear red cap. No. The red cap is meant for titled person who has been bestowed with a title and recognized by the society, having achieved a certain amount of dignity and achievement in the society. Yes.
Okay.
I maintain that should be the case. Not Tom Mahari and Peter wearing red cap. Okay. It tends to sort of lower the standard expected of us. Because imagine you walking about in the street of Enugu and two boys of 15 years I see you wearing that cap. And you are wearing red cap. Since you know what you have achieved in life to merit this cap you are wearing, it makes your own cap nonsensical. No. So it should not be encouraged for every person to wear that cap in Igbo land, whether he merits it or not.
Okay. And this takes me to my other, like a follow-on question. A few years ago, I don't know whether you remember, we were I think it was either 2014 or 2015 Christmas. We had some friends. We were spending Christmas in the village, and we had some friends from the north that came. I think from Afia, and they had said to me the way and manner in which Igbo treats royal fathers, it's not with the same amount of, reverence or respect as up north, and that was something I was like, there's two different cultures, two different traditions. Is this something that you guys know because of that age-old adage, Anasinandi Buenweze? Is there any sort of does it factor into how or is it because we keep today you have this autonomous community, we keep breaking up, so I don't know, but I'm just would you see that?
I think that the situation in the north and the west has been due to the institutions of chieftaincy and obaship and emirship having been there for many years before now. So the people know the value there in the west. In one area, we're just starting to recognize the importance of chieftaincy, Igweship, and the kingship. For example, in Igbo land, we knew or have come to know that the Oba, the Obi of Onitsha, Obi of Onitsha has been there for long, and the gentleman at Aro Chukwu.
Yes, Ezaro.
Yeah. Ezaro. These are the two prominent Igbo kings that we have grown up to know. So the rest of us are children of circumstances. Yeah. That's the institutionalization of chieftaincy and Igweship in Igbo land is a new thing. So I think gradually people will know the value of kingship and chieftaincy in Igbo land. But another factor has been that the government and those bestowing chieftaincy on Igwes should properly select those who merit to wear that crown. Because if somebody who may not merit or be worthy of such a title and is seen to be called Igwe, the ordinary man who knows his background may not give him that respect because he knows his background.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can just disregard him because he knows his background. Yeah. So the selection of Igweship should be upgraded so that whoever is made a king or Igwe in Igbo land will know that he merits it, both in terms of his achievement and integrity and office, maybe office he has held here and there to merit him being crowned as Igwe of a particular locality. In that case, people will automatically respect him.
Yes.
In my own case, I don't think anybody will look down on me within Nkanu or Enugu state that I don't merit being a Igwe in the scheme of things in Igbo land. So that is very, very important.
So the integrity and the character of the person it's really what sets it apart.
Exactly, very important.
Yeah. Well, if you've been following the last few minutes, it's been for me, it's some things I knew before, some things I'm learning now, but for me, this is the first time. Obviously, my guest is my father, is the Igwe, so in my daily interactions with him, I'm learning and, learning how to be a better person, a better man, a better Igbo person as well. Please don't go away. There's still a lot more I'm going to grill Igwe. I'm going to treat him like, a subject. I'm my guest. I'm not going to treat him as Papam, as my dad. So I'm going to treat him like, I'm going to set another jam question for him. We'll be back in a second. Please don't go anywhere. Let's go to the market and try and get some adverts. We'll come back in a minute. Thank you. Welcome back to this Libation special. It's an extra special edition. And for me, it's more than special. It's deeply personal at this edition, because I have, if you're just joining us, I have my father, who is the Igwe of Nomeh, Unateze, here in Enugu, Kano East, local government of Enugu. Person of retired Lieutenant Colonel Israel Konkwamba, who has had an illustrious career in the army, who has, been around the world. Some people look at me today and they say, "Oh, Emeka, your taste in music and art and just general knowledge. This is the man. This is the man that made all of this possible." If you see me, my taste from liking jazz to pop to disco music of the 70s, everything, that my love for art and thank you. It's not. I've not told you thank you in many ways before, but thank you, and I deeply mean it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I want to ask this question, and it's sort of it's something that I think a few months ago you were I don't know how we got talking about as Igwe of Nomeh. It interested me to know the origin of where we come from, and I think you were sharing the thing and the origin story, so to speak, and I was intrigued because in Kano, and where Nomeh Unateze, then Nara Unateze, then Amagunze. And you were saying that there were like 3 brothers who had moved from somewhere, Agogugu. Tell me a bit more about it. Yeah.
Okay. Legend has it, or history has it, that Nomeh Unateze came down from Ogugweze, local government here. Ogugweze is a town or a small village close to Wele Court. So Nomeh Unateze came down from that village. Mm-hmm. Coming down, he descended behind the Obako Hill and came down to Nomeh and settled. That time now, according to history, the movement that time was in search of animals, that's hunters. They were looking for good animal to kill. So Unateze came down from Ogugweze and settled at Nomeh. After some time, he found the place very hospitable and went back to Ogugweze again to bring his brother, who came down to Nomeh. After some time, this gentleman, his brother, moved south and settled at a place called Nara. So Nomeh Unateze and Nara Unateze are brothers.
Okay.
Then that Nara Unateze a gentleman, went back to Gugu again to bring again his brother, his junior brother there, and took him direct to Nara. From Nara, then that gentleman went further in the hunting expedition and eventually settled at a place called Amagunze. So you now have Nomo Nateze, Naro Nateze, and Amagunze as brothers. Meanwhile, from that Ogugweze, you have 5 other brothers from another mother who now is called Ntoegbodese. These 5 brothers moved. One settled at Akegbe, one settled at Wolekot, one settled at Ihe, one settled at Abogugu, one settled at Okonano. So these communities now, they come together once in a while because they call themselves Ntoegbodese. That's 5 brothers who came out from Ogugweze. In fact, at Ogugweze, every year or every 2 years, we are expected to go there and they kill a cow and worship the one big stone where all of us came from. I did it many years back by taking a cow there to worship the stone at Ogugweze. And in Toebonese communities also do that. So that's the history about Nomeh, Unateze, Naro Unateze, and Amagunze. In fact, it is said that the 3 Unatezes, that we don't shed each other's blood. So Amagunze,
and you can't intermarry as well or something like that?
We don't fight each other and shed blood. It's a taboo for these 3 communities to fight each other and shed each other's blood. That's the history about Nomeh Unateze. And we maintain that story up to tomorrow and respect ourselves. And within Nomeh, it is said that Unateze settled at a place called Ukutu Valley, behind Ezugo, behind Baris Ezugo's compound, Ukutu, and had 2 sons, one Igbo, one Okolo. That's why you have Okolo and Igbo. So you have Okolo and Igbo from the 2 sons of Unateze. And when the Igbo people came to Nkano, there's an intelligence report called Nkano Report. In that report, it's mentioned that Okolo and Igbo have 2 different territorial divisions, Okolo and Igbo. And in fact, it is recognized as such in Nomeh, with the result that at Afo Square, there's one square we call Afo Nomeh, Afo Traditional Square. The eldest person from Ohuafo opens the meeting. When he comes to the center of the square, he will say, Nomeh Unateze, ekenekwa muno, Nomeh Mulomo, ekenekwa muno, Okolo na Igbo, ekenekwa muno. In the recent few years back, there have been small distortion of this fact, but I'm happy. We have settled it amicably through the intervention of the local government and the commissioner and the government about this Unateze being 1, 2 divisions or more. There was a small discussion and disruption by certain elements, but I'm happy I've settled it. Nomeh is 2 territorial divisions, Okolo and Igbo, and it has been certified by official records dating back 1920s.
I'm always amazed how, because every time we talk, when you reading out these records and archival records, it takes me to the point where how well do we, this modern generation, how well do we understand history, tradition, because if you don't have a good knowledge of where you're from, it's very difficult to even, predict where you're going to be in life. And I'm amazed how detailed you keep it. But again, in one of our conversations, and I want to share this Because every time we have this conversation, I'm like, maybe it's not true, maybe it's not true. But as I got older, I've understood, some of those things and why some things are the way they are. And one of the things I want to ask, and maybe you can share more with our viewers, especially in Kano land, is this concept that when you lose someone, I think we talked about it when one of our relations lost his mother recently and was going to bury her in grand style, and you said that was supposed to be Ikwa prepare first, Abi, before, and there were some, should I say spiritual, there were some consequences, even if you followed a certain process. Would you want to care to shed more light on that? Because yes. A lot of people may not understand the process, and I think it makes common sense that if someone who just recently passed, you're going to spend money, kill cow, boyfi, menka, mana, your grandfather or your late father, you haven't done that process. And I think when you shared it with me, at first I didn't understand it, but now I do. But I just wanted you to speak with some authority on it so that some of our viewers who may not know will at least get an idea of what this means.
Yes. Most of the customs and traditions that we are practicing now, we adopted this from our grandfathers and forefathers and ancestors. It is widely believed in Igbo land that when somebody dies in your family or a relation dies in your family, you should bury the person. We call it Ikwa, or the person, so that you are free from the vengeance of the gods. If you dare to bury somebody freshly dead before the person that died before, you can be sure that the spirit of the dead will visit you. It has been proved that you will, even at sleep, or when you're walking on the road, the spirit of that old man that died before will be chasing you. And that there have been stories of, in fact, there have been incidents where somebody who died later, leaving the one who died before, and the person who did the ceremony died a few weeks after. And we ascribe this to that mistake the person may have made. In fact, it is accepted in Igbo land that you must do this. If you don't do this, it will boomerang. It will surely boomerang. For those who are doubting this thing, they should be careful not to fall into that pit. It's a very serious issue in Igbo land that you must corner the person who died before the recent one. If you don't, the spirit of the old one will
torment you.
Will torment you. In fact, the spirit will come alive and chase you. And then in your dream, or when you're walking on the road, or even while you're sleeping at night, the spirit of that old man will come and chase you.
It's not as a result of, as some people, some doubters will say, no, guilty conscience, no, any extraterrestrial anything, but it's more like the guilt has become manifest.
No, it has been proved that you must do this. If you don't do it, it will boomerang. It has been proved beyond reasonable doubt in all parts of Igbo land. In fact, you'll be cautioned and advised by the elders to do it because they know the consequences. The consequences will come. In fact, you are sure to get a boomerang. It is advised that all those concerned should seek advice of the elders and follow the advice to avoid the vengeance of the gods, of the spirit of the dead who has been neglected. They see it as a neglect. The spirit of the dead see it as a serious neglect, and they'll come after the person who committed that offense. They will come home.
So, in a sense, what you're saying is that this thing we call tradition and culture that is still very relevant today and it still has power.
Yes. very much relevant today.
But Igwe, let me ask you this question, and this is a very, I know we didn't discuss this before, but if you feel like, I know it's something that's deeply personal to you because you participated in one of the most crucial events in Nigeria's history, which was the war. And some people have talked about the challenges I face as in Igbo, and the seeming, some of the issues we face today, the insecurity and all kinds of things. Now, our brothers and sisters who fought the war, many of them who didn't make it, who were lost, that Igbo society as a whole, accordingly, to recognize the millions of people who the combatants, the civilians who lost their lives, the children who died of oppression, all of this, that would it not be necessary for anyone as a people, if he were one day, and the traditional rulers of Igbo land and the political leaders of Igbo land, let us, like if you go to Rwanda, they recognize, they have the museum for the genocide, the victims of the genocide. But is it not necessary for us as a people to sort of choose one day and say, this day is a day let's recognize and kwabie these people properly, so that they can transition. I mean, I'm saying this because if we recognize that if I lose someone, if anyone loses someone, I'm supposed to email the person proper funeral. But here we are, millions of people died during the war, and we haven't taken the steps. I'm not saying it's your responsibility. I just want to hear whether you have a viewpoint, because this is what I believe, that if this is the case, that we believe in the consequences of not burying people properly with the proper funeral rites, our own relations. And then we have millions of our own people that died. I don't know whether you share the same sentiment as I do.
Yes, your suggestion is okay. But we, the traditional rulers, ought to think in this way. I think your suggestion is very, very nice, which I think I will suggest to the Traditional Rulers Council about this suggestion. But this we can only recommend this to the politicians.
Yeah.
It's the politicians that will approve this suggestion. But it's a very good idea. But I believe that individually, at a community level, that somehow the dead from each community has been buried accordingly.
Okay.
And in the case of Nomeh, I know even my Batman who died when I was rushed to the hospital after being wounded in the front. My Batman who died when I was in the hospital. After the war, I made an agreement that he'd be properly buried according to this my thought. Okay. Yes, I think each community may have done so, but collectively, it's a very good idea, which I would suggest to our council to pass this suggestion to the politicians. It's a very good idea.
Okay. I thank you so much. I have good ideas.
Yes.
I before we round up the session, I think we can pick it up when we come back. But I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ask you so that you think about it as we go on the break. Because now we're going into the more, shall I say, painful periods of your life. You just talked about losing your Batman during this tragic war, the Biafran, Nigerian Biafran Civil War. I know that as a son to a father, and you shared some of those things. You still carry some of the wounds from even the bullets You were severely injured in the war. You talked to me about you were in the medical field before the war started, and then you had to volunteer to go to the war front after you saw bodies of your friends and people. And you've also shared, I think in the past, I don't know whether you're willing to share on this program, some of your encounters during the war. I want you to just think about it. But viewers, when we come back from the break, we'll continue our conversation. Libation continues with Igwe of Nomeh, who, in brackets, is also my dad, and so I'm very proud to say. Lieutenant Colonel Mba, retired. We are no relation to the governor. I keep saying it, but we're proud of him. And we'll be back in a few seconds. Please stay tuned. Very interesting conversations yet to come. Welcome back to this special episode of Libation. I have, the guest is Igwe of Nomeh Onateze in Kano East. Igwe is a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the Nigerian Army. Igwe has had, as I said, a distinguished career in the military. He's worked in Oman, Saudi Arabia. Igwe speaks, he has an affinity for language from, what's that Ghanaian language, Twi or something, Fufude, Hausa, Yoruba. When it comes to me, I struggle. I think I struggle. But he has a knack for language. He's been everywhere in the world, as a kid like me. And my siblings are all over the world doing incredible things, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Recently, you had your Fala in Nomeh, which was a grand event. And I was so proud how everything turned out. And I'm sure you see clips of this Ofala in as part of this special. But you served in the army even before the war. You were in the medical field, and then when the war started, you became an infantryman. What made you switch, and what was it like? Because I say this because a lot of young people these days, they keep saying, oh, let's go to war. But every time I've listened to you and you described what it's like going through a war, and it's not something anyone wants, just listening to you, it's just, the fear. And I think even in the book that your biography that you're working on, you describe some of those things. Do you wish to share some of your experiences? What made you move from being a radiographer? Because that's what you trained for in the UK for many years, and you came back and you joined the infantry. What was it like?
Yes, thank you very much. I joined the military school Zaria, 1956. By 1958, I was sent to Britain to train as an apprentice's boy. From there, I went to after getting on my required educational requirements for higher institution, I went to do the medical radiography in the Middlesex Hospital, London University. Then after qualifying as a medical radiographer, radiography means X-ray technology, taking X-rays of the body, ultrasound, MRI, CT scan, all these are the technologies of modern radiography today. I returned to Nigeria to head the radiography department of the Nigerian Army Medical Services. By the time the war broke out, I was working in Yaba, military hospital Yaba. So as it was then, all of us had to run from Lagos or wherever Igbos were in the army for safety back to Enugu. That was 1966.
Okay.
66, towards the end of the year, after the July coup. So when the war broke out in 1967, I was working in military hospital in Enugu here as the radiographer in charge of the radiology department. It happened that so many casualties were coming in. Some of the boys, some of the men are my colleagues in the army, friends and colleagues. At a certain stage, I said, no, I'm going to the front. I volunteered as an officer cadet. And I was among those trained at Hilltop. From Hilltop, we were sent to Midwest operation, 18 battalion at Warri. So my journey in the infantry was voluntary. So I saw the battle face to face. As a platoon commander at Warri, Brutu, and Focados River. I saw battle at Onitsha sector. I saw battle at Abagana. I saw battle at Okuzo, Biafra 2. I saw battle at Uguoba. In fact, at Uguoba Bridge, Amansi Bridge, the federal troops, my battalion held them for over 2 weeks not to cross and enter Oka. At a certain stage, the federal troops, both forces were suffering heavy casualties. So at a certain stage, the federal troops crossed the river, up the river, maybe with pontoon, and decided to look for the commander of the Biafran force that was giving them wahala. So they were marching towards my tactical headquarters and saw me. They started pursuing me with leg, and they were shouting, "Kamashi, Kamashi, Krakarabeshi, Krakarabeshi." That's to say, catch him by hand, don't shoot him. So I ran into the compound. So he ran after me, giddy, 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 giddy. So luckily for me, the fence was a low fence. I had to jump over the fence and enter the bush. That's what saved me. So I had close encounters like that during the war. Another one was at Okuzo, where I was mortally wounded. In fact, the bullet scars are not a good sight to see on my laps. So the war was a different kettle of fish for me. But I thank God I'm able to recount the experience today, alive. But war is not good. It's not a good experience. And I will advise that Nigerians should live together as brothers after that sad experience from now on. And never again shall we, brothers, fight each other again. It is not a good thing to talk about thinking of war. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it certainly is not. I mean, which is why I know, even as you're telling the story, I'm sure the memories are not very palatable. And it just brings to mind, the kind of politics of today that is just so bitter and so bad, and people clamoring for war and not understanding it is just it's something that I wish, and I thank you for at least putting out there that war is not a good thing, and it's not something that anyone should willfully plan to
Go into.
go into. It's not at all. But let's digress a little bit. Let's move to more cheerful, should I say, questions around how you see the role of like the Ofala that you had in December, just a couple of months ago, and its significance in bringing communities together, because it made me so proud on that day to see the whole town, the whole Nomeh town coming together to celebrate you, to celebrate the town itself, and everything was fantastic. Do you think that, and we've had the pleasure of attending the Ofala in Onitsha and a few other Ofalas. Do you think it's something that we should encourage more in Igbo land, especially amongst the traditional rulers, to do that? Because what the images I saw and the temperature, everything was about unity of towns and so on. Just you think it's something that we should encourage more? I know it's expensive, but it's something that will bring people to. What do you have to say about it?
Thank you very much. In fact, when the Ofala plan was started by May last year, by this time last year, we had the first meeting, like 6 months or 7 months ahead of the program. I was always afraid and worried that how the program would take place because of the complications involved, the resources that have to be marshaled, and not having done that before or having the experience before was quite a big challenge to all of us, including the producer here, who played a very important role, both in chairing the committee for the Ofala, meetings upon meeting, tidying up so many things, financial support, and otherwise. I thank all my children here and abroad for their support, especially financing the whole program. The Ofala, to my experience, was a huge success. In fact, people describe it as fantastic. Never seen in Nomeh before. And I thank God, and I thank everybody. I thank the community. I thank the people of Enugu State who came from far and wide. People came from overseas. People came from Anambra. People came from all parts of the state to celebrate with me. I'm so happy that the Ofala went successfully. I'm so happy, so happy. I thank God for everything. I thank all my children, thank all my well-wishers, thank all the supporters. Ofala is not a joke. I haven't gone through the program. I wish such a program or festival or ceremony can take place more often, because it brought the whole community together in peace and celebration. Friends, well-wishers, brothers and sisters came together as one person, one people that day. I thank God for the Ofala. I wish it can be repeated, if at least once in 3 or 4 years, because of the resources involved. I thank everybody. I thank my son here particularly for everything he did. The Afia TV was there. They'll cover the whole ceremony. I thank everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Igwe. I've thought about it though, in terms of what it takes you to manage, managing the community as diverse as Nomeh. It must be very tasking. How are you coping? Because today, when you're in Nomeh, you're always on the road. Sometimes I call you, you're in Nomeh weeks and months and managing land issues and all of those. How are you coping with all those challenges? Every different groups Which one dragging you in separate?
In fact,
how has it been?
Being in traditional Igbo land is no joke. The Igbos are quite a set of people, different set of people. What a different set of people. Being a traditional Igbo land is no joke at all. We are often immersed in problems here and there. In the village, by 7 o'clock in the morning, your gates are open. If it's not open, you start hearing banging on the gate from different sets of people and problems. I thank God for the last 25 years that I've been Igwe of Nomeh. I have not witnessed any serious crisis as sometimes occur in other communities where crises erupt and people start getting killed or running around. I thank God for Nomeh. I don't have any special magic or secret to have managed Nomeh to this level or for this time of 25 years. I just thank God for giving me small wisdom as times came and passed. Sometimes people expect me to use military method.
As an ex-soldier, yeah.
Yes, in ruling the community. But sometimes they are surprised because I will tell them, leave that problem. Because people expect you to only give order, jump over the issue, give order, but you should be surprised how I handle certain issues. And they start to doubt whether, is it Igwe Konelemba again? I used to surprise them sometimes, the way I handle issues. And that has been the magic that has helped me to rule the community till today. I thank God for the support of the community and the understanding. But I have many committees that settle land dispute. I have another one on domestic matters and miscellaneous affairs. I have on human rights. I have on market and business. So I have many committees that handle different matters that arise in the community. And they give me a report. And according to the chief judge who trained us to adjudicate on issues, I follow the template very, very seriously on how to judge cases in the village. That has helped me a lot. And luckily also, I have capable hands in the village that I've appointed to take charge of each committee. So that's the secret that has helped me to run the community to this stage. So I thank God for that.
It's brilliant. I mean, that's sounds like your running of things is more democratic than even some of our so-called democratic institutions. Before we go, we'll be going on a break shortly, but you're well-traveled. You've lived in Oman for many years and lived in Saudi Arabia. When we come back, I'm going to be asking you, what was life like, living in just such strict, whether you want to share any stories, because I know that in Oman, for example, and in those being Arab countries, Muslim Arab countries, for example, alcohol is not available, and how you were able to cope with that for those many years without your family, and so on. We'll ask you a little bit about that, and then we'll sort of end with questions around more topical issues that have got to do with today's Nigeria. I mean, the times have changed significantly, obviously. You've seen many generations, and we'd like to hear from you. What are some of those nuggets of wisdom that you have for young people growing up today in today's Nigeria? What are the things from your experience that you like to advise them to either to do more or not to do at all? So viewers, when we come back, I'll reconnect with Igwe, and I'd like you to stay and hear some of his advice, comments about living in today's Nigeria, from someone who has lived a regimented life as a soldier, as a healthcare practitioner, who's well-traveled, who is now today a traditional ruler in Igbo land, today's Igbo land. Stay tuned, we'll be back very shortly. Welcome back to Libation. It's not every day this happens on television, where the host of a show gets to sit down for almost 2 hours now to have a chat on television in front of the whole world with a guest who also happens to be the father of the host, and in this case, my father. The Igwe of Nomeh is my community where I'm from. So I have in the studio the particular pleasure to have Igwe of Nomeh, Lieutenant Colonel Omba, who's retired from the Nigerian Army and today is the Igwe of Nomeh, as my guest. And we've been talking, well, almost 2 hours now, we've been talking about, his life growing up, his experiences. We talked about experiences during the war. We talked about, culture. We've had some pretty interesting chats, and I learned quite a few things. And I hope if you've been following us, that you've learned about some very important things around culture, around Igbo culture. And he has some strong things to say, and particularly around funeral rites, which I think that when you look back, it's quite weighty, and some things we need to start taking more seriously as Igbo people. As we sort of round off this conversation, I before we went on the break, I said, Igwe Nanga Jogi, what it was like for you living in the Middle East for more than almost 10 years. You lived in the middle when you retired from the army. Was it so much of a culture shock, or your regimented background as a soldier, the discipline, you were able to sort of manage yourself in those societies? What was it like?
Thank you. I retired from the Army, Nigerian Army Medical Services, 1990. By January, the Saudi government had recruited me as a consultant medical radiographer in one general hospital in one of the provinces, about 50 kilometers from Riyadh. Cultural shock, as we were warned, as we were trying to embark on that journey. It's a joke. Until when you get there, you really know what is called cultural shock. Cultural shock, the way we saw it there, is more than cultural shock. You cannot believe it unless you experience it. The women have their own bank, have their own system. You don't mingle with the women at all. Even if you are working with somebody in the same hospital in Nigeria, you dare not stop even at the corridor and say, Rose, how now? You will be tied, your hands will be tied together for talking to a woman who's not your wife.
Yeah, wife.
So you mind your own business strictly. Wake up in the morning and go to work and come back to your house. The experts are housed in one big building. They hire one big building for expatriates when we live. So it does no alcohol. Alcohol is not allowed. You don't play pop music. You don't play video. That's the home video. In fact, home video is banned. At the airport, they will screen all your video, VHS cassette. They will screen them and seize nearly all of them. Unless there's one that's no dancing in it or no sort of playing or laughing. they will screen all the VHS tapes. You know VHS? That people
yeah, that we used to have it. Yeah.
Yes, also have. Yeah. They will screen all of them and seasonally all of it. So, no alcohol. So you drink Pepsi or Fanta or Pepsi Cola. You have to discipline yourself.
Yeah.
And on religious issue, they will want to convert you to Islam. But in my case, I always told them that Islam is good, Muslim is good. So that saved me. But at the same time, you don't offend their rules. You don't go against their rules. They have strict rules, which they explain them to you, so you avoid going across there to offend their rules. Very strict rules. In fact, in the 9 years that I spent in the Middle East, it was quite an experience, which maybe...
So you that used to, because I imagine it, you that used to enjoy all your records, all this, jazz, blues.
Jazz music, no. You don't play them. You don't try to play them at all.
Wow.
In fact, sometimes they will go around with a pickup, with a scanner during weekends. That is this street. They will pass through this street with a scanning vehicle, you know, so that any house they are passing through, if they are screening any film on television, it will show on their screen. They will stop and knock at the door and ask you to bring all the films you are screening in your house. So you don't even screen any film in your house that has women laughing or women dancing, anything like that. You don't.
Wow.
They have strict rule of division between man and the woman. So you must obey them if you don't want trouble.
Which is amazing. That yes, today's Saudi Arabia with the new crown prince.
New crown prince.
Things are changing. I was just watching a video the other day. They're even having parties, disco parties in Saudi Arabia. I'm like, yes, I saw it. I saw the thing that they had DJs. They brought DJs from Europe, from America. So I had
very good
parties in the.
During our time, nothing like that.
It's changing.
Women were not allowed to drive.
Now women can drive.
Women can drive now. Yeah. During our time, women dare not drive. They dare not. They don't drive. And women coming to the hospital must be accompanied by the adult male, by an adult male. Just even coming to the hospital must be accompanied by adult male. They have very strict rules, which they followed. And they were very careful not to trample on their laws or offend their rules. So you mind your business and follow the rules strictly if you don't want trouble. And you know they're very, very strong. They operate Sharia law. In fact, in the hospital, I know one case, one incident when they were extracting the teeth of somebody without even anesthetics. The person was crying in the dental department. What happened? There was two people fought, and one broke the other man's teeth during the fight. So according to the Sharia law, you have to remove it. So there were very serious crying in the dental department, crying and crying and crying. What is going on? They were removing the teeth of the other person who broke the other person's denture. So that's as strict as that. So you can imagine being trying to extract the teeth of the other man. So as a revenge, according to the Sharia law. So you have to be very, very careful.
It's amazing how society is. I mean, if we use how Saudi Arabia has changed, you know, from what you experienced to what's going on now in Saudi Arabia.
That's a very good improvement.
Yeah, it has. And I see the same thing, and I just like to use that as a backdrop to discuss how our own society, Nigeria, has changed over the years. I mean, we started this conversation talking about, you know, tradition, Iwoji, and all of that, and how, you know, young people now, I mean, it's frowned upon, but how young people have taken, you know, this red cap as a symbolizing Igbo. And over the years, our society has equally experienced, some would say negatively, you know, that in so many ways Nigeria has, you know, sort of retrogressed or has gone back. You know, as we end this conversation, just from your viewpoint, how would you characterize two things? There's a double-barrel question. Where Nigeria is at the moment in terms of development, in terms of our politics and our society, but more significantly, the place of Igbo in today's Nigeria, if you'd like to share a thought. And, you know, how we have changed. I was telling someone on this show, I think the first episode we had, how when we were growing up, we lived at Katnak, and even later at Chime Lane, and the zoo. We used to go to the zoo. You remember the zoo was just across the road.
Across the road, yes.
And the library, the state library, was fantastic. We used to walk and go and read. My first idea of socialization was, you know, but today I don't think the library exists. At least, I mean, the building exists, but the library is pretty much dysfunctional. The zoo is now an estate. You know, so the parks that we used to have, I mean, kudos to this governor in trying to bring back some of these things. But I'm saying this in context that our society, the soft edge, everything's all about money, ego, money, you know, this, and I find it scares me. I'm sorry I'm asking the question, I'm answering it from my own point of view, but I'm a bit scared to imagine children growing up, no parks, or at least no good place to play football, to play with their mate, no zoo, no libraries, the point of socialization is either this cell phones, which you can get lots of propaganda and fake news, or a hard life. You know, how do you see, are we making progress?
Well, I enjoyed the good old days. I know in Yaba, during the old days, we used to go to nightclub at Yaba, Idioro, Kakadu. We'd dance until 2 o'clock in the morning and we'd start coming home to the barracks. Yeah. It's no more again. No social life again as such. No easy going attitude of men and women. So the good old days, you can't compare the good old days with today's environment at all. I wish something can happen to bring even half of the good old days society back to Nigeria. I pray. But today's Nigeria, obviously, there's too much rush for money. Fraud has taken over everywhere. People now, hard work. During our time, we talk of hard work, integrity, honesty. I wonder the percentage of honesty and integrity and hard work now in Nigerian society. It has gone down. During our time, we emphasized hard work, honesty, hard work, honesty. But now, it's gone, or going badly. I wish somebody, or somewhere, or somehow, we can have that percentage of that thing back again into our society. It will make a lot of difference. With regards to Igbo, being Igbo, yes, I love being Igbo. And if I were to come back again, I would still like to be an Igbo man. Igbos have their character, strong character, and you can buy it in the market. So the Igbo land should remain Igbo land, and more good things will come to us. We're praying for a change of environment to better our lot within this, our Southeast. I pray the people on top will listen and give us a better share of Nigeria, better share of the amenities and what is due to us. That's a prayer of everybody. So I thank God so far for what we have achieved as Igbos within our own environment here. If you go to Onitsha, or Oka side, then you see what our people have been able to achieve in terms of material wealth. Then you begin to wonder, within the short time after the war, can Igbos have gone to that extent? So I thank God for the Igbos value of life and enterprise. So I thank God for that.
So do you think that, if you were to advise a young Igbo person to go back to those values of hard work and
Honesty
and discipline, that is something, because I find that hard work is not something, even young people today, I say school was scam. The value that we used to place on education is troublesome. But anyway, if you've been watching, this has been tremendous honor and privilege to sit here to share my dad Igwe with you people, share his from his well of wisdom, to have conversation around culture, tradition, share snippets of his own personal life. And for me, this is something, it's just amazing. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm grateful. Igwe, Igade. I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Afia TV.
And
I will also pray that Afia TV becomes Odenigbo and Ojemba nationwide and worldwide. I pray for Afia TV. Thank you very much.
As we round up this special episode, Igwe, we'll pour some. We've poured libation, but my friends, just yes, just to say,
long life.
Long life. Thank you. What? My producers are looking at me, and I don't know what they're asking me, but they're asking me to present. Anyway, this is a special artwork. There's a young friend of mine. She's an artist from Nsukka. This is titled Mborogo. She did signifying the Igbo spirit of resilience, strength, of character, of unity, and I think sort of embodies some of the conversations we've had today on this show. Afia Wagoziem, she's a wonderful Uli artist. This is one of her creations.
Excellent.
So at least from all of us on Afia TV, can you see something?
I'm grateful.
Yes.
Afia TV, I thank Afia TV. I thank the producer. I thank my host. I'm very grateful. I thank God. You're
welcome, Igwe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me on this special episode. This is one of the things where you get this opportunity to do this on television. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. Please, if you have any questions, any comments around this episode or previous episodes, please get in touch with us, ask questions. If you want us to bring in someone as a guest that you think will, add value to the conversations we're having on this show, please let us know. And let me know how I can make this show better. I'm always open to suggestions, to criticisms, whatever you have. I'd love to have them on the show. My producers are, as you can see, they're the boss of me on this show. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you on the next episode. Keep pouring life, liberty, and work hard, and keep faith. See you next time.